Hey, welcome to another typology interview. We have Josh. How's it going, Josh?
Hey, what's up, buddy?
Hey, so I'm pretty excited. You're actually a twin type with Austin. I've had Austin on a couple times.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
So,
Yep.
and you're also doing your own thing. You're running like a YouTube business. We'll talk about that later. Like a YouTube channel about business also.
Yep.
And then you're also running your own fitness business. So we'll talk about that later.
Yep.
But maybe let's just start with your history in typology.
Sure. Yeah. I have been into the Enneagram pretty heavy. That's where I started, was the Enneagram. And I got into that about 3, 4 years ago. My twin was like, "Hey, you're type 7." And I was like, "What does that mean?" And so yeah, long story short, and then I got kind of bored with it because I felt like I learned the 80/20 at least. And so I went to Myers-Briggs to play around with it. I was like, I'll just try to learn it and, whatever. And then I ran into Dave Superpowers and then Objective Personality, I guess. And that was probably about 8 months ago now.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you join the class? And
Yeah. Yeah. I joined the class. Yeah.
okay, and you got type. That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so I know Austin's type, so I know your type, and double feminine. Although
Yeah. Double
Austin's
feminine.
like seems more feminine than you for some reason.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I can see
You
that.
have a little bit more of a masculine punch for some reason. Um,
Yeah.
and then so that's double feminine, NITE, and then
NIT.
blast first, sleep last.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So cool. Like, I'm wondering about your NI a little bit. So maybe we can talk about that.
Sure.
How are you aware of it? Like, is it something that you knew before you joined OP? Are you just starting to see it now?
I'm more starting to see it now. I typed myself. I took my time, so I have this board up there. I don't know if you guys, yeah, all
Oh
the
yeah,
functions,
cool. Yeah.
and I got it on a dry erase board, so I can type people slowly. So I write somebody's name by what I think it is, and then over time I keep checking, right? So I'm just like, I'm seeing this, I'm not seeing this, and then I slowly narrow down,
Oh
right?
really?
That's
So
how
you're actually
I'm typing.
practicing typing people.
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. Mostly friends and family, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but I got like Tom Bilyeu, Tony Robbins, Gary Vee up there just because he has them, but I use that to kind of reference.
Right.
Um, but yeah, so I typed myself actually completely upside down as a ESFP. So I
Wow.
thought for sure I was a ESFP.
That is
Yeah,
completely upside down. That's 100% upside down.
completely. Yeah, isn't that crazy? And then I was like, I'm not going to be one of those guys that type themselves upside down. And then on Dave and Them's, when I was sending the video to him, I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure about this. I feel pretty good about it. But I was like, yeah, what do you know? I'll maybe end up being an IJ or something. I was like, no way, I won't be an IJ. And then I was an IJ. And
Wow.
so I think that what I've been seeing in me, why I saw myself as an ESFP, is I think my life has been based around SF quite a bit more than maybe Austin, right?
Right.
Um,
Yeah. Like if you even typed yourself upside down, that means you're aware of your demons and you're focusing on them and you're growing at least. Right.
yeah, yeah, yep, yep,
And
yeah, which
so
is good.
yeah, and I noticed like you're also like not to come down on Austin at all. I'm sure he
Sure, yeah.
appreciates it. But like
Oh yeah, he does.
you come to the point a lot easier than Austin does. Austin is not able to see the point until he goes around it. I don't even know if that makes sense to you. That's
Yes.
what I
No,
noticed.
it does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because me and Austin talk quite a bit,
Oh,
and
cool.
we're noticing we talk probably 3 times a week, at least 3, 4 times a week, and
Right.
we talking about our differences so we can see, and that's something that we kind of noticed too. Austin wants to go deeper in the internal processing, right?
Yeah.
I want to just play. I want to learn by playing and blasting. That's really that's how I like to learn
Yeah,
for
he's
sure.
into simulations. That's what he calls it, the internal
Yeah,
processing. Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Do you get
yeah.
that too?
I don't like it. I don't like internal processing, man. Actually, it's like a big demon for me.
Really?
Uh,
But like the
well,
sleep, maybe. Yeah.
yeah, the sleep, but I guess what I mean by that is I like processing things I can wrap my hands around, right? Like things in my world, right?
In the TE
But when
reality, TESE
yes,
reality. Yeah.
TESE reality, yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah,
That's also
but
double
eventually.
activated play. Yeah.
Yep, yep. And I love playing. I think a lot more than Austin. I like to play a lot.
Right. Yeah, he's more of a blaster. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, Yeah. He's more focused on figuring things out with the NT. I am, but I'm really focused on the point, right? Like the result. I think he likes to figure things out to figure things out. For
Mm,
me, it has to have practical utility. It has to have some use, right?
right.
So if I don't have practical use, I'm not really interested in learning it that much.
Right. Yeah. That sounds like a lot of TE is like your TE might be stronger than his at least a little bit, and
Yeah, definitely.
also bringing it out to reality is SE as well. So yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
So, but what about those simulations? If it has practical use, would you go into them? Would you do them? Would you perform them? How deep would you go?
Yeah, yeah, I would. And what I think, what one thing that I've kind of noticed is when it comes to anything I want to achieve that sucks that's in front of me from getting there, I do something in my brain like subconsciously where I start associating so much pleasure to it. So I get really stoked really fast about doing things I don't want to do. I've always been that way. And then if I feel like I don't want to do something or if I feel like I'm scared of something, I have to run to it at that point. So now
Uh-huh.
I'm not the haunted, I'm the hunter. So like I'm
Right.
coming for it now. Do you see what I'm saying? That's
So
kind of how my
you're looking more past the problem. You're using your NI
definitely
to look beyond it and see the what you're actually get like keeping your eye on the ball sort of thing.
100%. I never thought of it that way, but 100%. Yeah.
Right. And that's a masculine NI then too. So like
Hmm.
you're gonna just keep with it. You're not gonna yeah.
Yeah. When that interest or fire gets lit, I am insanely aggressive toward that goal. Like that's all I see and think about. That's it.
Uh-huh.
Like, and that's my strategy to even like I've noticed everything I've achieved is when I'm tunnel vision, like where I'm only learning and listening to the everything has to support it. All my conversations is in that subject. All my information I consume 24/7 before I'm going to sleep. I'm playing, learning about that. So I see I'm activating my RAS, my reticular activated system, so that all my brain subconscious does is see that because that's all that's coming in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, it's like really an all or nothing. And I'm also picking up maybe your FI is also on board, which is providing some of that fire. Like you figured out how to get your FI to push you too.
Yes. Yes, I did figure out how to, I figured out how to not just cultivate the fire on my F, but also ignite it more, like add some gasoline to the fire. So I figured out how to really stay emotionally invested in whatever I'm in.
So can you give us some pointers on how you do that?
I've been trying to process what I do, and I've been
Right.
thinking about it a lot.
So it's like natural.
Um,
That's really cool. Yeah. So like you're
yeah.
naturally doing it, and now you're just going to sort of share what is natural. Okay. Yeah.
Yes, but I need to process it more, but I'll tell you what I think, okay? But this is
Right.
so loose, right? What I think I do is I need for my type, for some reason, I don't know what it is, I need a lot of variety, okay? Like tons, right? And probably more variety than certainty on some. They're like really close, okay? So certainty for uncertainty, or variety that Tony Robbins needs, whatever.
Right.
I need a lot. And so what I do is I'll give you a better example. I'll give you a practical, actual example in real life. I've been a musician most of my whole life,
Cool.
and we would write insane amounts of music, right? And I would go in the studio with all these like well-known like professional guys, and they'd watch me, and I'd be like, why are they watching me make beats or music or whatever, right? And because I would work on 7 songs at once, and so I would start with this one song, and I'll do just the bass. Then I'm bored, so then I go to the next song, and I'll just do a strings, and then I'll do a piano melody. Then once I'm all the way done, I'll come back around. Now here's the bass, and now I'm adding some drums to the bass. Then when that's done, I'll jump to the strings, and I'll add some piano with the strings. You know what I'm saying? So I've learned to kind of get variety in one area more, right? And I do
This is
that
on
with, I'm
one
always
song
finding variety.
or several songs at once.
7 songs at once. So
Wow.
or like when I'm listening to Dave Superpowers, for example, I'm not just I'll focus on one topic to start, but as soon as I get bored, I'll move to another topic. It's still under the umbrella of OP, right?
Right.
But it's different little subcategories. And I think that that's what kind of helps me. That's the kind of the balance I found is finding the variety in the certainty, right? In the consistency.
You know, what's really weird is that like variety is something that EPs want,
Hmm.
sort of want, but it's also something that your NI really wants because your NI, once it sees the pattern and the sensory keeps coming at that same pattern, you're like, screw it. I need to, build another pattern because like I already got it. Like, shut up, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. That's interesting. I never thought of that. Yeah.
But like, I guess also maybe variety is less the word because like it's weird because they need a lot of one thing for their NI. Like a lead SE would need a lot of data points to construct their NI. But
Right.
yeah, which you don't.
N- Uh, okay. Kind of. So I'm a consume nutcase when it's something that I want, right? Or
Right.
something I'm into. So I'm literally consuming all my free time, right? I would say honestly, on average, if I started a stop clock, at least probably 4 hours a day, at least consume, but
Okay.
usually probably much higher. And one thing that's really interesting, I think a better word instead of variety would be stimulation.
Mhm.
So I'm craving, I know I crave a lot of stimulation, and that's the new, right? My brain's always craved a ton of stimulation. So I think I figured out how to get stimulation boost and so I can stick longevity to one thing. Because it was insanely hard for me to stick to one thing long, and it still is sometimes, right?
Mhm.
But I do feel like an EP in that sense, 100%.
Yeah, that's probably why you typed yourself as an EP as well.
Yeah, yep. And I
Yeah.
feel like an EJ. I feel like those are stronger than my IJ, right? But that's only my internal, so maybe people can see more EJ or an EP. But they did
Right.
say that we're the glass lizards, so maybe everybody would see me that way too. I don't really know.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm wondering maybe why they typed you IJ. Did they give you any insight?
Yeah. It made a lot of sense with what they said. Yeah. It's because I wasn't thinking about the double activations and all that stuff. They said, as far as if I remember right, they were saying that it'd be really hard to type our types from someone else other than us, than them, right?
Yeah.
Because you would see things differently and not know where it came from. But the NT came from because he said that he can tell I'm always in outer space with my thoughts after about 10 minutes of talking or whatever. I'll just get like in this outer space land.
Yeah.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Um,
So,
cool. So do you see your TE maybe more than your NI?
yeah, definitely. I
Yeah.
see. I don't even really. My NI is really subconscious almost.
Uh-huh.
Um, but what's her name? Oh, was it Bar in the group? She did the math with Austin, and I guess that they said that our type should primarily be like 60%. It's like it goes like EJ, EP, then I can't remember,
Then I
but yeah, but I know that my NI is on board when I'm focused on a mission, like really strongly, really aggressively strongly.
do you see a lot of control in your life? Do you have like a box that's just yours that no one can come in that's completely controlled?
Yes, in ways, right? I'm extremely like I really like to be around a lot of people and stuff. And I don't my wick is long, right? I don't burn out like IJ would. I could
Mhm.
be with people for days and feel fine. But I noticed that I'll do subconscious subtle things like so to have control. Like for example, everyone that I hang out with comes to my house. I don't go to anyone's house. You know, I'm like getting more awareness of like how I do control on some level, but I feel like this sounds bad, I know, but I feel like I control subconsciously with charm, right? So it's like
Uh-huh.
it's like it's not a you wouldn't know that I'm doing it. It's more like around, right? If that makes sense, because I'm very in tune to people's um, energy, body language, whatever. So I just kind of work with that, and I find my way around. I've also been in sales my whole life, so that could be part of it too.
Yeah. It also seems like you might have a little higher sleep than you should for your type
Maybe, yeah.
because you're a lot more self-aware and you do have that NF. Like if you're talking about the charm, like charm could also be play because people like playing, but it sounds like you do have that awareness, that NF awareness of people and how they work.
Totally. I would say that is one of my big strengths in life. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I think Kendrick said that on the interview. He said that I was very NF, he thought in the interview.
really.
Yeah. Yeah, which is interesting.
So what's cool is they came out with the concentric circles, and this is something that that I was seeing as well. But it's cool that like they actually came out and said this is what it's looking like, the animals. And I'm seeing like when you're talking about your consume, this is exactly what you're doing. You're consuming things that you've already targeted with your NI. Is that something that
Yes.
you found is consistent? Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, yeah. I have to have, and it's weird because I type myself as lead consume because I'm consuming more than I'm doing anything else, it seems,
Right.
right?
Right.
But then it made sense. It's like, oh no, I have to emotionally want something to drive me to get the energy to consume for real, right?
Right.
Um, I don't hate consume. It's not like if there's something playing, I'll be like, oh, turn that off. I don't hate it. I'll still
You just
listen
need a
to it.
reason for it.
I need more reasons for it. Yeah,
Right. You need a drive. Uh-huh.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But I
Because
don't have any emotions toward consume in a negative way.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe also you need to need it. Like if you don't need it, if you can succeed without it, then what's the point?
Right, right, right. And I would say I've been religious about consuming for about the last 9 years or 10 years. So,
Okay.
like Tony, any personal development, so like Tony Robbins, Tom Bilyeu, Gary V's, anyone in that field, Preston Smiles, like you name it, all of them. I've really got obsessed with personal development world and learning everything I can. So
Nice.
that's been
Do
it.
you find that sometimes because you're so focused with your consume that there are things that are out there that you're missing that like you
Probably.
haven't that you haven't consumed it just because you haven't targeted it yet and you were unaware of it?
Probably, yeah.
Does it sneak up on
But
you?
as soon as I get awareness, no, I haven't seen it. Not
Okay,
that I'm aware of. Yeah.
interesting. And your double activated SE, have you seen it as a demon? Is it something that is actually negative in your life?
Um, Sometimes, yes. Yeah, yes, yes. Only on things such as like invoices, anything that's boring where it's all text that I have to write or I type or I have to organize or anything like that. Things like that in the business I dread a little bit. But other than that, I believe, you know, you can't see yourself onto some level. So I believe that I appreciate and enjoy sensory. When it comes to sensory, like outdoors or sports or, you know, I don't know, things like that, from what I can
Hmm.
tell.
Have you? It's interesting because
And
it's
I like
like
a lot of light and a lot of like bright colors. Like
really.
I had three lights in a small room that are all the highest watts because
Uh-huh.
I really like light. And I realize a lot of IJs like dark from what I understand. And
I
dark clothes, and it's rare you'll see me in dark clothes or dark light.
I know a lead SI that likes dark, but I also know another lead SI that needs light. So it's
Oh, okay, okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's interesting. But you don't find like it gets too distracting if there's too much sensory at a time.
Honestly, I think I like it. I like a lot of sensory stuff hitting me sometimes. I don't feel overwhelmed by a lot of sensory coming at me from what I
What if you're
subconsciously.
in a messy house or a messy room or something? Would that distract you? No.
No, no, at least not on a conscious level,
Uh,
possibly subconscious.
would you zone out sometimes and just forget that you have a body?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll be disconnected from my body by nature a lot. Yeah,
Right.
especially with emotions.
Would you forget to eat? Would you forget to sleep?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah. Like when I was working on music and stuff, like I'll be in a zone for reals. Like I will not stop for like 20 hours, literally. Like I'll just go, go, go. It's weird. It's like I won't even know I'm tired or anything or hungry. I'll just go, go, go. And then I'll be like, oh, it's been like a day almost. I've been working on these songs, you know, or whatever.
Yeah.
That was a lot of my childhood. It's like working on songs, and not even realizing I'm not eating or sleeping.
So you're supposed to be a tester modality with FF. Do you see
Mhm.
that in any way? Is that something?
Totally.
Yeah.
That's probably that's my biggest go-to strength, I'd say, is I'm
Really?
not afraid to fail and I want to test everything because I want to learn. And I don't think there's anything more information dense than failure, right?
Right.
So I do have the belief that the more I get emotionally out of balance, or the more I mess up, or the more I try to think about something, I'm just a doer, right? So I don't sit and plan and think. I learned about probably 10 years ago to turn that switch off, or about 6 years ago, turn that. I'm bad with timing, but probably about 6 years ago. But I learned to turn that switch off, right? So as soon as I feel like, oh, let me think of how to do this, whatever, I literally just start walking toward it, and I don't know what I'm gonna do or say. I just start going with it. That's
What,
that's how. That's how.
what about your sensory memory? It's supposed to be
Really
bad.
bad. Really, really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the toughest thing that I think that's the toughest challenge is remembering details, remembering timelines. That's very hard for me.
Mm-hmm. And,
That's why I
and
just said 10 years and I was like, well, maybe probably closer to 6. It could be 1 year, who freaking
so like
knows?
the extroverted momentary world, like the now, like being in the zone, that sort of thing, that that sh- that's your double feminine zone. So it would be like the experience that the world is coming down, like the world is coming down on you in some way, like the now, you don't have control over what's happening now. Is that something that's true for you?
No. And I
No.
don't know if it's from meditating and, just learning to enjoy it. Like I did have to focus on being in the moment more years ago, but it's so natural for me now,
Uh-huh.
where I don't feel overwhelmed in the moment unless, okay, yeah, that could be like sensory maybe, unless there's a lot coming at me at once, that is all problems, right? So
Right.
if there's like, but business helped me
That's
get better at
chaos.
that.
Yeah, that's chaos. Yeah.
Yeah, so if there's a lot of chaos, yeah, then that can get a little overwhelming. But I always feel like I can solve it. Then I just go to like, okay, what's the biggest priority? Okay, let's just only focus on that, and then when I'm done, I'll go to next, and that gets me out of that within a few minutes usually.
Uh-huh. What about pushing on the tribe? Like, do you have a problem telling people what to do or bossing them around or you are,
Yeah,
yeah.
more like an EJ. So it's more like let me help you, kind of, right?
Right. Okay.
And if they don't, um, you know, um, something if they don't take my advice or whatever when I'm very confident it'll work, then that could get frustrating sometimes. But that used to frustrate me a lot more. It's a lot less now. But every once in a while I'll get like that Austin or something.
Yeah. Do you get that need for validation as well?
Yes, but as far as I consciously am aware, I don't think that's I've really dialed down the tribe thing for me personally. So I've kind of worked in my brain where I feel consciously, I'm sure my subconscious, I might be doing different in my actions, but I don't think I really cared that much about validation as much anymore because anytime someone gives me a compliment or anything, it's cool. I appreciate it, but it does nothing for me emotionally. I don't build my self-value, self-esteem on compliments at all, right? So they don't. I feel like they don't have to say anything. I just need to help them, and then as soon as I know it's helped them, then if they say thank you or anything, I'm like, oh, it's cool, whatever. And then I'm just trying to focus on the next thing. It's almost like I dismiss it in a sense.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know why that is, but yeah, compliments don't make me get excited. Yeah, and things like that.
Do you seek maybe not compliments, but maybe like sometimes people don't have to compliment you to validate you. Like you did a good job for them. They don't, and even just like a thank you is sort of like a
Mm,
validation cookie. Is that something that maybe
yeah.
you're seeking more? Like helping
Yeah,
people?
maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Interesting. What about what about the feminine SE? How do you see that? Like other than the memory, do you see reality? How do you experience reality as immovable?
Um, as movable.
Well, your SE is the movable one, so
Right.
reality could
Yes. Yeah.
be sort of immovable, or maybe the opposite. You can tell me.
Tell me if this is it. This is what I think is. For example, so my twin is he's self over tribe. We think he's an INTJ as well, right? Dave.
Oh, right. Yeah, I forgot you have a twin brother. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And he has an introverted decider. So every time I bring something from the outside to him, probably 100% of the time, he's like, that's stupid. Nope, that's not good. Nope. And so I think that like growing up, that was always triggering to me. But I think growing up with someone like that has helped me in that area, right?
Wow.
Where it's
Yeah.
just like, but sorry, what was the question? See, this is what I have the biggest problem with is like I'll go blank when I'm going here.
Right.
That's an
But
example of
like, okay, but like, so for example, I asked you a question. I'm going to get back to the question. So, but I want to
sure.
get stuck on this that you
Yeah.
forgot the question. So like I asked you the question and you should have sort of formed an NI concept before you answered the question, like a trajectory and understanding. And that should have been solid. But like now it's like you don't know what the trajectory was anymore or
I had an answer in my head, but then I wanted to throw that in there and then
right.
go back to the answer. But
Yeah.
now I can't remember what the answer was.
Cool. Okay. So yeah, I'll just ask the question again. It was
Okay,
a
feminine SE. Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the other way I see it a lot is with that. That's where I was going with my twin because now I'll be unsure about the information, and then that shakes up me big time, right? So it's like triggering my F in some way, right? So it's shaking me
Mm.
up emotionally, right? And now I'm unsure if the information now I got it because I can see that side too usually, right? And I
Right.
hate to see this side sometimes, right? I hate it. He's more in the darkness, I'm more in the light, and so I'm trying to like think more, go more this way, and I think he's trying to go more this way, and it's on some level.
What do you
Does
mean
that
by
make sense?
darkness and light here? Like these are
So, he's everything is not good, not good enough, or everything is more of a
okay.
pessimistic viewpoint.
Pessimistic
And
view.
then to me, he's like for some reason for him when he hears information he doubts it. When I hear information, if it kind of hits in familiar areas, I'm like okay, I believe it, even though I know in my brain there's a chance it's not true, but I gotta believe it to test it. Does that make sense? So I
Right.
believe
Yeah.
it. So that way I have enough energy with my optimism on it to give me energy to go toward it, right?
Uh-huh.
And really try it out and test it in reality. I
You know
won't test it in
what's
reality.
interesting is I get the same thing that I doubt things from the sensory as well, and I'm critical
You got
about
masculine or feminine?
masculine sensory,
Okay, okay, yeah.
SSE, and I doubt them as well until I've checked them. But the doubt is what gives me the strength to check them.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, that discourages me more, right?
Right.
Ways, yeah, in ways, yeah.
Right. So like the fact that everything's just fitting in too perfect, and I'm like, there's something wrong here. Let's figure it out. You know, this
Oh,
is
and then
like,
I'm like, yeah, that's how it should be. In
yeah,
my brain, I'm like, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
interesting.
it's kind of interesting. Yeah.
Um, so you think he's like Ti as well? Like he's your twin?
Yeah, Dave sees him. Shan has not typed him or anything. From what Dave said, he sees him as INTJ as well. He's just more of the normal one. And then
Oh.
I'm the different version. And one thing I've subconsciously noticed is normal IJs naturally trigger me. Um, or IPs. I think it's more self over tribe because it's like I'm like, hey, you guys see the spectrum of everything, and they're like, I only see this, and this is the truth, and then they feel stubborn to me, right? And it's just, and then to me, they have this almost dark energy a lot of the time, where it's
Uh-huh.
just kind of like the darkness. What I see is the darkness. Do you see what I'm saying? But my
Yeah.
twin definitely sees probably me as the darkness
Right.
because
Yeah.
he's
Exactly. Yeah.
too
What
happy and
I,
free and
I don't know him. I haven't typed him at all, but from your description, it sounds a lot like me. It sounds a lot like masculine Ti. Is what you
totally. Yeah, 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 it does to me. But he's I would say he's definitely the emotion one though. He's F over T. I
what's
would say for
you
sure.
guys are identical twins?
Yeah, we're identical, yeah.
So like this is one of the things that Dave and Shannon have been theorizing and pushing is thinking that maybe like genetic testing, 23andMe is going to go and show and prove that OP is a thing, right? But
Right.
like if you guys are twins, you should have like the same genetics, right? Because you're
Yeah,
identical
yeah.
twin. Yeah.
We're identical. We're in the same
And so you
egg,
should,
yeah.
and if that were so, like if this genetical thing was to hold water for me, it'd be like, well, just go test twins and see if they have the same type or not.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. And I think that it's weird that if they've got them right, right, we're both INTJs, but it's weird that somehow, some way, I got like the double activations, right?
Hmm.
And it's completely changed our outlooks in life. So
Right.
to me, I feel like literally, I thought we were going to be complete opposite types. I
The other
really
thing
did.
is the other thing they were saying is so there's like the nature and the nurture that no matter what in every situation, if you have two people in a room, someone has to play the EP role and someone has to play the IJ role.
Yeah,
And then same thing,
yeah.
someone has to play the EJ role and someone has to play the
Oh,
IP
that's
role.
interesting.
So like
Yeah,
maybe you guys sort of just split. Like that's also a good
totally.
reason why you'd be different than Austin is because like you guys sort of split and took on different roles with each other.
Oh, you're right, man. You're right. That's right on the money because He was, yeah, he definitely always played the IJ role. I always played the EP role,
Right.
always. Yeah, I was always social, wanted to be around friends and stuff. He was always want to
Uh-huh.
be by himself with his
And so that
emotions.
would make you a more balanced IJ then in the end.
Yeah, yeah,
That's really interesting.
yeah, it is. Yeah.
Do you have anything about your type that you want to say to people that
Well,
maybe
I
they
have a
should know?
question for you. If
Yeah, of
just
course.
out of curiosity, one thing that we're really, me and Austin's really trying to figure out. You okay? So are you aware of the? Are you a fan of Tony Robbins, The Human Needs? Do you know what the human needs
Yeah,
are?
I know about it. Yeah, I'm not like
Okay, so you know the four with
right. Yeah,
IJ,
yeah,
right? Love,
yeah, yeah.
connections. We're trying to figure out what that looks like for us, right? Because they all feel so close. I feel very close to everything besides IP. I just don't feel like the self, right? Like I feel like that's almost missing, right? I almost feel like an IJ or EJ,
Uh-huh.
right? So my question is when I'm, if so, theoretically, if we're looking at a regular IJ, their first need would be certainty, their bottom need would be uncertainty. My certainty and uncertainty are almost like this. So we're trying to figure out what is our needs and priority in order for our types theoretically, right? Because
Right.
we can figure it out.
Uh-huh. So
Yeah, any ideas on that?
on what your type is, what your order is?
Yeah, yeah. What me and Austin and Brian are all of our order would be theoretically with the double activation because I've always liked the variety. John, my twin, has always hated variety, right? So I
Right.
was always the EP. So that would make sense. It made me more EP because I do
Right.
create a strong amount of variety. But I'm curious to how does that look as far as the human needs go? Because the math doesn't work anymore. Because if this is on the top, this should be at the bottom, and then two
Right.
here. But it doesn't work that way anymore with our type because it's
Right.
different.
Because so like you probably would have been more balanced on the control and chaos, even though you're not a double observer, because of your
Yeah,
twin. You would have found that
yeah,
balance. Yeah.
yeah,
And so your need for control would be a little less because you've come to
yes,
terms with not having it, with allowing someone else to take responsibility for the control.
yes, yes, yeah, good call. Yeah,
Right.
because it's weird because when we were young little kids, I saw our childhood as the most terrible, miserable thing. We never were allowed to play. We were never allowed to hang out with friends. I was always felt trapped, right?
Uh-huh.
Right? Like an EP. And then my twin was like, he's like, no, it was fine. He's like, I didn't care. And I'm like, what? But he likes to be alone too, right? He's more of an introvert.
Right.
I felt limited and trapped. And so that one experience completely different. That changed my life, which made me want freedom so bad. And I started
Uh-huh.
really craving freedom. And I moved out on
Right.
my own at 15 for that reason. So I
Right.
was really young when I was on my own.
That's
Usually,
really cool. That would make you really different from what your type should say you are. That whole
hmm,
experience, yeah.
yeah. Yeah, in what ways? I'm curious.
Well, just because you'd be so much more balanced on the control and chaos, because you would have had to
Okay.
take on a role of an EP when you're an IJ.
Oh, oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense.
cool. So let's just promote your stuff right now. So you have a fitness business? People can go and look at the website, or what is it? Is it a health business, or what is that about?
Yeah, it's Jay McCrae Fitness. So what I do for my work is I'm a nutritionist, a dietitian, and I'm also a cognitive behavioral therapist.
Okay,
So I work with the mind and body, right? I love the mind; it's the probably my biggest passion, but I love the body too, and they're kind of tied, right? So Jay McCrae Fitness is my fitness business. We do use some cognitive behavioral therapy in there to help people with the mindset as well if they need it,
right.
but it's mostly focused on getting people in shape. I used to be a national level bodybuilder, and I work with a lot of pro bodybuilders or pro athletes like some Broncos or some,
Oh, cool.
just some people like that. Yeah. Or models, CEOs. So we got some cool, like kind
Do you
of,
have like a lot of employees in your business at all, or it's just you for now?
yeah, I think we're around 36 or so,
Oh,
somewhere around there.
wow, nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got
Yeah,
a
but
you got a
it's a
whole
lot of
thing going.
steps.
That's really
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and like you were
It's
talking about your FI and how you were able to get it on board and stuff, and you were trying to figure out. And I think once you figure that out, that's also going to be something really huge for you guys, like because like you're talking about the cognitive side of it, and like that's
mhm.
really what it is. That's really how you succeed in fitness, I guess. Is yeah,
Yeah,
or in
yeah.
anything. Yeah,
Because I was thinking like it's probably the IJ in me because for me it's always been kind of not easy, easy kind in a way, right? To do things that sound impossible to people. So the reason I wanted to be a bodybuilder was because I was so skinny and everyone was like, it's impossible to look that way like a magazine. Everyone's
Right.
like, I wish I could look like that. I'm like, dude, I can do it, right? And so I did it. And then the same with like music, like me and my twin were touring the US and then we had label offers from a few
Cool,
labels
man.
and so then as soon as that happened I'm like okay, now I'm a little bored with that, so I don't do music. Like, but it took like
Wow. That's so EP. Just I'm bored with this. Move on. That is so EP.
yeah, yeah, that happens to me a lot, right? A lot.
Wow.
So I had to learn to fight that, right, to stick to things more. Yeah,
That's crazy.
I feel like an
That's
EP,
why
man.
you
That's why
saw,
I
yeah,
really
that's why you saw your type upside down.
yeah, I was like, I can't,
Could
it's
be
hard to
upside
stick
down.
to them. Yeah, yeah, it's freaking it's so weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's Jay McCrae Fitness, and then my cognitive behavioral thing is Let's Talk About It Coaching. Not as active in that personally, but there's people working for it. And then I'm also me and a good friend. We're starting a sales consulting company because sales is also another skill set that I've always been really really good at somehow, which
Yeah.
as IJ would be weird maybe, but I don't know, but
Um,
maybe
no, it
not.
could work as an IJ, but like you have the NF, like the sleep, the missing NF, like not missing, but like sleep last with that NF should hinder you there, but you have it for some reason. Yeah.
Yeah, like I was always super scared to sell, like every single time for years, terrified of people, social anxiety big time.
Nice.
But I kept selling and then I kept breaking records at every sales company I went to. And I'm
Nice.
like,
Nice.
I
Yeah.
never thought I was good. So I'm just like, I guess I'm good. And then because the world told me I was good, right? The extrovert designer. And then when that happened, I really believed in myself and I
You
got
believed in yourself. Wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
I got really, really good at sales for that reason. And that was
That's
the
a huge
number one
learning
thing in my
experience
life that's
too.
helped me. That I was gonna say that changed my life because I
Yeah.
was so scared of people and all that. So it's given me a lot more.
And then also seeing that, you're not valuable until people tell you you're valuable and just breaking that mold, understanding how
Totally.
that's just an illusion. And yeah.
Yes, I thought I was dumb because I did so terrible in school, just like in maybe not even at EPs, probably they probably all did better than me. I could not focus for more than 5 seconds. I'm not even joking.
Wow.
But literally like I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna focus this time. And then within literally 20 seconds, I'd be in Mars and I'm not even conscious that anything happened until class is over. That was like always in high school for me. And I just thought
Wow.
I was dumb. We didn't know about ADHD and stuff back then, you know? And so I did so bad in school, I thought I was dumb. And then one of my friends was like, dude, you're one of the smartest people I know. And I was like 23. And I'm like, me? And then that gave me the confidence to be like, oh, I guess I am smart in my ways, just not in school. And then so the extroverted decider again gave me the confidence to start seeing my potential and getting
Right.
there.
And so then you've been successful in a couple businesses in sales, and then you're trying to give back as well with your YouTube channel by sort of helping people get into business and learn as well and doing the business
Yes,
coaching
yes.
stuff.
Yeah,
So,
so our channel is called The Entrepreneur's Journey,
okay.
and what it is people watching our journey as entrepreneurs, so they can see, and we also get some really cool guests come on. We have Evan Carmichael come on. We have billionaire CEOs come on. We have a lot of really cool people that they were talking to us to in our mastermind group, and we're like, why don't we put this on YouTube so we can share with them?
Wow.
So that's kind of how it came about.
Cool.
Yeah, and then I was like, people can watch our journey. We can give tips and tricks when we find them, and things like that. So that's the concept of entrepreneur.
Awesome. So I'll put that in the description too. Thanks a lot, man. Have a good one.
Thank you, man. It's super fun. All right, guys. See ya. Peace.
Okay.